Hi Scorpio, Trishna here. Welcome to your December 2019 general reading. So what I'm feeling for you is I feel like you are in mostly a good place, but I also feel like there's a part of you that feels tired or fatigued, maybe exhausted. I also feel like maybe there is a decision that you recently made that you are not sure was really the right decision, and you are trying not to think about this decision or any of the repercussions that come with the decision because it doesn't really make you feel good and you're really not sure about it, and so you're kind of avoiding thinking about it altogether. So I feel like you're feeling good, but you're a little bit more mellowed out. You're feeling a little bit tired, and you're trying to avoid thinking about something, which I'm sure probably makes you even more tired. Now, the way that I see December going for you is I feel like you are going to spend a lot of the month kind of agonizing over this decision that you made. And it's maybe not like actively continuously thinking about it, but it's always there in the background. Whenever you go out to hang out with other people, it's there. You feel it. It's agonizing in its own way, and it's like it doesn't let up. It won't let go. It's just always in the background of, did I make the right choice? And now that I've made the choice, can the choice be changed? So it's going to be like this thing drilling continuously at the back of your head for most of the month. I feel like especially the first 2 weeks, and then maybe the second 2 weeks something will shift. Maybe you'll change your mind, maybe you'll do something different, maybe you'll feel better about it. Something will shift. You will make some kind of shift that will make you feel better towards the end of the month. So here's the guidance that I get for you. So the thing is that you first have to decide or figure out if you made the right decision in the first place. And once you figure that out, it's really important that you understand why you made that decision, and why, even more so, why it was the wrong decision. And I feel like more than likely the decision that you've made was probably not the right choice. So here's why. Let's say you made a decision, and it was the right choice. If it was the right choice, you would be upset about it, you would be agonizing about it for a few days. But after about a few days, you would start to feel better, you would start to feel more confident about your choice, and in about a week, you would feel significantly better than you did 3 days after the decision, and definitely within the first 3 days of the decision. So you would be progressively feeling better about your choice because it's the right choice. And so even though it may be hard in the beginning, if it's the right one, you'll feel better about that decision as time passes. But if you are having a month like December where you are agonizing about it, it's always at the back of your mind, it won't let up, and you just can't get it out of your head, and you're not feeling better about it, you made the wrong decision. That's why it's still bugging you. So, because if you're still feeling bad about the choice that you made a week later, definitely 2 weeks after you've made it, then it's the wrong decision, because if it was the right one, you would be feeling better than you did when you made it, and you're not. So that will help you determine whether or not you made the right decision to begin with. So chances are you did not make the right decision, and that is okay. We all make mistakes, and what you need to hear is all things can be reconciled, especially in your situation. It's not over yet. You can make amends, you can change things can go back to the way that they were before, which is what I think that you may want. So we're gonna go with you made the wrong decision, because it's probably what happened. So now you really, in order to be able to make amends, you really have to get clear on why the decision was wrong. Now that you've made the decision, now that you've had a week or 2 weeks to see or experience all the reasons why it was wrong, you need to sit down and you need to get very clear on specifically why it was the wrong choice. And this is very important because when you were making this decision, you were probably a little confused beforehand, and then all of a sudden you had a moment of clarity because maybe your emotions were in such a place that they gave you a certain clarity. But obviously, that clarity didn't last. So whatever state you were in when you made the decision wasn't really the best state to make that choice to begin with. And so you really need to get clear. You really need to get clear and specific on why it was the wrong choice, because the confusion that you had before is what led to the confusion. Basically, energetically, creates confusing outcomes and confusing situations and confusing choices. Like, confusion that you feel inside percolates out into the rest of your experience and into the rest of the world. And that's why you need to get clear. Otherwise, when you try to make amends, when you try to change the situation, if you are confused, you will not, the outcome will be shaky for you. Like, it won't be clear either. So if you come to it with clarity, you can deal with it with clarity, and you can figure out an action plan and move forward with clarity, and you can get clear outcomes in return. The clarity that you bring to the table will be given back to you by the situation, by the people, by the person. So clarity is important for the mental side of things in the situation, but also very much for the energetic side of things. And don't ever underestimate the energetic side of what comes to the table. So once you are clear on why it was the wrong decision, then you need to go to the situation, go to the people, go to the person, and you need to communicate those reasons to the people or the situation or the person. And you need to do that because that is how they will believe that you're trying to make amends with the situation is well thought out and not just an emotional reaction that is only temporary. So it's very important that if you want to rectify the situation, that you are very clear for yourself, and that then you very clearly communicate it to those involved so that they can truly believe that you thought this through, and again, that it's not just an emotional reaction that is fleeting just because maybe you feel bad. That it's there to last, and that, again, you've thought this through very, very carefully. The other thing that you need to know is that I feel like if you decide that you want to make amends to the situation and to rectify it, that once you do that, you're going to feel a million times better. And I really feel like after the situation has settled down, because obviously when you make amends, there's like, it's a little rocky for maybe a week, 2 weeks, just a little bit, maybe even up to a month. But after that point, the whole situation is going to be better. Like, the whole situation is going to be better than it was before you made this whole decision. And you may even realize that actually this kind of needed to happen. Like, maybe whatever this decision you made created was a reset that you very, very much needed in order to be able to show up to the situation or the relationship or the group in a more complete, more full, like more present way. So if you've been watching my channel for a little while, you probably know that I'm not a tarot reader, but I did decide to go ahead and buy myself a tarot deck, and I pulled some cards for you. I've been pulling 3 cards for everybody, but 6 actually came out for you in like groups of 2. So I decided to read all of them in groups of 2. So the first cards that came out are the 5 of Wands and the 9 of Wands. And then you got the King of Cups and the, is that 8? 8 of Pentacles, followed by the 10 of Wands and the Page of Wands. So I'm going to read these more intuitively, or I'm going to add some of the intuitive insights that I get along with reading the cards themselves. So just so you know, if you're like, that's not entirely what the card means. So when I look at the 5 of Wands and then the 9 of Wands, sometimes Roman numerals for me, 5 of Wands and then the 9 of Wands, what that tells me is that there was some kind of disagreement, maybe there was an argument, maybe there was some kind of battle, but it really could have been maybe even just a disagreement that you had that eventually led to you feeling hurt and being a little bit wounded. And normally you might be on guard after such a battle or feel like you need to protect yourself or be more defensive, but you're so hurt that you're not even like that. Like, you're just very hurt from the situation and what transpired, and you're looking back at it wondering if things really had to go that way. And so there's a lot of that kind of hurt inside of you that you've been feeling. And I feel like this very much aligns with maybe a decision that you made that we've been talking about. Maybe the battle could have been with yourself, and you could have had an internal battle with yourself on how to make this decision. You finally made the decision and it didn't turn out the way that you wanted it to, and you end up feeling more hurt than you did before, and looking back at it like, did I really have to make those choices? Or it can involve other people. Now, then I see the King of Cups and the Eight of Pentacles. And what that tells me is this decision has allowed you some time to take a step back from the situation and to start looking at it from a very mature, emotional, more reserved perspective. Instead of being maybe emotionally all over the place and making decisions from that and getting yourself into a battle with others or with yourself, you now are more regal, you're more mature, you're more put together, and that is allowing you to look at a situation differently through more enlightened eyes than you were before, because now you have this space and distance to be able to do so, and you're feeling a little bit better, like you can maybe approach things differently, you can handle things differently going forward. And now that you're starting to see things from this different perspective, this more mature, wiser perspective, I guess is the word that I'm trying to get at, this wisdom that you have from an emotional place, that is inspiring you to want to work on, this is Pentacles, but what I feel for you is really work on what matters to you most and work on whatever this decision relates to, and wanting to rebuild and try to make amends and try to fix things and try to make things better than it was before. And I feel like you are working on this in a very positive way. It's not some kind of like, what if I can't rectify the situation kind of way. I feel like you are just very focused on rectifying it versus can I rectify this? So you're very focused on the solution, and you're more positive. Like, you may not be thinking about the outcome and thinking it'll be positive, but inside you feel more positive about it. You just want to get to work on changing things. And that's what you are, I think, now in the process of doing. So I think that the battle and the decision making and feeling hurt is past, and now we're in this getting that wisdom and ready to work on whatever it is that is creating this whole situation for ourselves. And I think that these last two cards are kind of like the transformation that you are going through and will go through. So with the Ten of Wands, it's almost like you're trying to hide behind problems, or you were like putting things in front of your face, not able to really see what's clear. You weren't really facing what needed to be faced at that point in time, but you're moving away from that. You're not doing this anymore. And maybe you have moments of this where it's like, ooh, can I really rectify this? This is something that can change, and you want to hide behind your fears of that, but you're not doing that anymore. For the most part, you've moved away from this kind of energy, and you're moved into the Page of Wands kind of energy. I hope I said that this was Ten of Wands. You're moving towards a Page of Wands energy, which from an intuitive perspective makes me think like now whenever you make a decision, you really evaluate it, you really look at it, you see how it really measures up. So before, maybe your decisions were made from an emotionally confused place. It was very emotional, but now you've gained the wisdom of the King of Cups, and you're very mature and wise with your emotions. Emotions are important. You don't have to run away from them. You can make emotional decisions. We all make emotional decisions basically 100% of the time, but the difference is, are you making an emotional decision from a very reactive place of maybe not feeling positive about things, having negative emotions and making decisions from a negative place, or are you creating distance from the situation and evaluating things and not just seeing the negatives but also seeing the positives and seeing the wisdom in both and making a more balanced, mature decision like the King of Cups? And so that is the transformation that you've made, and now you're more of the Page of Wands, where you analyze the situation, you look at it, you really see where things measure up, and that will help you make better decisions going forward. I do feel like with this that I want to say that it's important to still try to keep the King of Cups wisdom and enlightenment, because looking at things from a very analytical perspective only also can do us a disservice, because we're not just our brains, we're our hearts. And actually when they look at the if you don't already notice, when they look at the electromagnetic like spectrum and like the electromagnetic field that we create from our bodies, the amount that comes from our heart is significantly more powerful and greater and goes further distances than that of our brain. And so the heart is not something to forget about or to put at a lesser level than the mind and the logic, because the heart is what connects us to the divine, and like the universe knows so much more, knows all the potentials, the millions of options that are available to us, whereas our mind can only perceive maybe 5, 10 at most. I know, very few, very limited number of of how things can work out, how things can be reconciled, how things can may look like they're in a bad situation right now, but they actually can be positive. So it's really important that even though you are going to be making better decisions now going forward, that you don't skew too much on the analytical side of things, and that you maintain this that you've learned so far, which is the King of Cups, which is that emotional wisdom and the strength from the heart and the emotional place. So you are going to be making better decisions because you are going to be like measuring things and taking a very logical approach to things. And I think that's good. That's better than where you've been. But make sure that you remember the heart as well in your decisions, because that is actually much more important than the logical decision making process. It is significantly more important than probably anything is the heart. So that is what I'm getting for you, Scorpio. It looks like you have made a decision. More than likely it was not the right decision. That's okay, because the game's not over. It's not done. The judgment has not been fully passed. The score has not been finalized. It's not written in stone. It's something that has a lot of room to change, but you have to make sure that you have thought it through and that you come to the amendment table with a lot of thought behind it, so that whoever is a part of making amends with you understands that this is well thought out, and that because it's well thought out, the amendment is here to stay and not something that's fleeting. And yeah, keep working on your pentacles, because it's going to lead to, or keep working on this situation because it's going to lead to success. That is in the cards for you. So again, that's what I'm feeling for you, Scorpio. I hope that you enjoyed this reading. I can't believe it's already 2020, so I will see you in January 2020. That's the next video I'll see you in. I hope I earned your like and your subscribe. And again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.